Peru, the Pale One. In the city of ancient glory, Pakachuama, queen of the ocean, high upon the glittering temple built, they tell you, to the fish god, stood he who was called Wakia by some, and by others Waku. His temple, built by the wealth of the ages, dated back so far in the forgotten time that men no longer remembered its building. Now the long rays of the morning sunlight caught it up in dazzling splendor, lit its tiers of jet, high polished alternative with crested goldwork, rising above the quiet city like a glorious pyramid mountain. Upon the summit stood the Pale One, beard and hair and robe gold tinted, as was the incense which swirled above him with its scent of burning cedar. Far below in the agate courtyard, massaclic in designs of eternal beauty, the people danced in ceremony, ancient stamps of intricate rhythm telling of their deep devotion. Beyond the courtyard stretched the city. The sun rays lit its whitewashed houses, its orchid market park and causeways reached beyond the outermost dwelling in the straight, wide path highways running to the four directions. At the dockyards were the ships of the traders, and the long haze ships which carried their pottery to Ochake, and other ports far distant, and traded their yams to the Maori, and their gold work along the Atlantic from the coast of Cuba southward. The marketplace was still, though strewn about with cloths of cotton grown in color. Standing about the deserted market were long lines of laden leman, either quiet or fervently waiting. All spoke of an unexpected summons. At last he spoke. The master had a voice deeply resonant like a golden stream outflowing. As I watched you, O my people, I thought again of how I landed upon your shores and came to the temple. The priesthood, crafty and deceitful, would have slain me for their idols, but they could not, and their knives fell from their fingers. I ordered the temple to be cleared of idols, and behold, the restless ocean arose, and the foaming fingers cleansed the temple and left it shining. I found you sinful in cunning warfare. I leave you peaceful and content. I found you dealing in human slavery. I leave you free. My well-trained priesthood will carry on all the rites now for me. Baptisma, marriage, and the last interment, all will go on. Why am I going? Why have I spoken so long to the traders? Why have I talked to the foreign merchants, speaking to each one in his own language? Because there are wild tribes in jungles. They know not of the one great spirit who rules all men. They follow him not. They still wage warfare. Ah, my people, indeed I love you. Yet if you had a herd of lemurs upon a hillside, and one little lamb fell into the canyon and into some brambles, would you not go down to save it, to comfort it, and still its crying? So I go to save my lemurs, for that is my Father's business, and to remember that through Yeshua, now that we can become sons and daughters of God, Yahweh, and that we are the only call our Father in heaven, Father. So we go about our Father's business to do His will and not the world. Brazil, he who is called Wakino, the diffusing light of golden yellow turns to green. The emerald green, that iridescent bird, the quetzal, sailing past in lazy circles, his regal tail floating behind them like the trailing robes of a monarch. Yellow-green is past the slimy water. The verdant green of leafy hung heaven filters down a jade pale sunlight to the reptilian green of Cenosis coil. This is the dark, warm jungle, swarming with birds and brilliant insects in a riot of vigilant color. Up against the twisting tree trunks stands the council house of the chieftain. The long house, the long-built Maloka, brought to the north woods by invading Iroquois, and copied often by the pilgrims. This was shingled with heavy palms. Seated just within the doorway, each upon his striped blanket, was a conclave of the nations. Before them stood the holy master, he who is called Wakino. Softly the pale jade sunlight fell upon the white folds of his toga, slightly tinted his golden sandals, his soft curled beard, his light brown trestles. For 12 moons have I walked among you, while the sun swung around his circle. For 10 moons now you have not battled, nor taken human sacrifices. I brought you seeds, and you have used them. Seeds for drugs, and food, and clothing, spices, and the warm, sweet chocolate, as well as gourds for good containers. I taught you many ceremonies, baptismal rites, and sacred marriage. I leave behind those who can lead you, for I must go on to other nations. Then the leader arose and spoke. Dark is the sun, great Wakino. Dark our lives on the day you leave us, and our hearts shadowed with sorrow. Nay, grieve not, my faithful people. In my father's land you all have lodges, and beyond the veil I await your coming. Return not to your ways of evil. I ask but this, your faithful promise. Hear this, O blessed Master, so that our sons will never forget thee, and forever keep thy teaching. We shall renounce the names we have carried, and to the eternity beyond tomorrow shall be known as the Wakinos, faithful followers of the Master. The Wakinos are a non-Christian wild tribe from Mato Grosso, added the author, Guatemala, the healer and the tiger. Among the tall smoking volcanoes, among the mountains went the healer, seeking out the ever-warring wild tribes, takers of men, the sacrificer. He brought them seeds and lectured to them, speaking of the one great spirit. Once on entering such a village, a little child came running to him crying. Its clothes were torn and its body bleeding, clawed by sharp claws of the jaguar. He picked the child up and, turning to the stream bed, knelt and washed away the blood stain. The people following in consternation saw no more marks of the tiger. The child was well and clean and smiling, but when he held the baby to them, the people backed away in terror. It is accursed. Balaam is angry. Nay, it is blessed, for I have blessed it. Then, as the people still backed from him, think you the anger of this creature is greater than my Father's goodness? Your Balaam is not so powerful. He must be fed the blood of children. My Father needs no man to feed him, yet he gives plants to feed a mortal. Plant seeds I bring you, that ye may flourish. But the very man he was rebuking pointed with trembling fingers backward, and the healer turned to face the jaguar. Standing in the golden sunlight, half dappled in jade from the overhead branches, stood the tiger's silken body, its lemon eyes upon the healer. Gathering his robes about him and placing the child on the ground behind him. The pale one stepped toward the great cat and held his arm up in the peace sign. Soft-footed chief, in thy jungle setting, come close to receive my father's blessing. Forgiven thou art for the pangs of thy hunger. Go and claw no more little children. Then the people, standing awestruck at the bravery of the healer, saw a heavenly miracle happen, for the tiger lay down before him and rolled cat-like to show its pleasure, inviting the caress of those slim, pale fingers. The people watching fell down to worship. To this day, among the wild tribes within the canyons and the mountains of the land called Guatemala, the story is often repeated.